Hello, Assalamu alaikum, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Health is Wealth. I am your host, Hzw Aesthetic. Okay, today we have a really popular subject, and we are going to be talking about, not just TV. It seems that everybody is talking about this. Everybody's involved with this. It's something that's very important. And the topic today is beauty. Okay, aesthetic beauty, the rising trend, and where does the obsession start? And what's actually going on? Why is the world right now geared towards so much of an emphasis on looking beauty and looking beautiful, and what exactly is beauty? Everybody perceives it in a different way. So for today's show, we are very happy to have with us in the studios today Dr. Shahid Jamil, who's a cosmetic surgeon, and you have graduated from Western Australia. You have 22 years of practice, and also, amongst other talents, a pediatric surgeon as well. So that's amazing. Thank you so much for coming to Pakistan and being on our program.
Thank you for having me.
Right,
it's great
wonderful.
to be back.
It's going to be wonderful talking to you. And seated next to Dr. Shahid is Dr. Sheher Banu, who's a dermatologist and I would say aesthetician, but it's sort of hard.
Difficult to
and I always get it wrong each time I say it on the program.
It's always difficult for you to pronounce it.
So it's wonderful to have you back on the program as well.
My pleasure. And I'm honored to be with one of our guests, the guest of honor actually.
The guest,
Dr. Shahid
excellent, Dr. Shahid Jamil. Now, Dr. Shahid, tell us, beauty is a topic. Poets have written sonnets and sonnets throughout the ages, and you'll have novels and films and whatnot. What exactly is going on? Because, if I borrow a few words from the poet Keats, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. What's the scientific sort of breakdown behind that?
Well, beauty, as we know, it's addictive. To me, beauty is the most addictive thing we know today to mankind. It's addictive in many ways. It's addictive in the sense that anything we see beautiful releases a certain chemical within our parts of our brain that then reinforces us to chase that beauty, to seek it again. And in that lies our reward centers of the brain, which assists us to form a habit of liking beautiful things, liking beautiful music. And lots of studies have been done on this around the world that have been able to understand how beauty objectively works in our world. So it's a reward mechanism. And when we see something beautiful, we feel good.
And we're drawn towards it.
We're drawn towards it. It's magnetic. And when we feel good, of course, we go back for it again and again.
Right.
So young kids from the young age of 2 or 3 get beautiful sports cars. And as they get older, they want to continue to have that.
Right.
We see beautiful images on the media nowadays, and it certainly makes us want to be that person to the point where we start doing things and following beauty in our lives.
Okay, so as you said, that's really interesting. The addictive part of beauty as well. So, it's a healthy addiction, or can it have a downside as well?
Look, I think we should look at everything as being healthy. I think even in our culture and religion, beauty is certainly encouraged.
True.
And that's something that we should keep in mind. In all cultures, beauty is encouraged. I think the addiction starts, or the unhealthy side starts, when we have people that look at beauty in a commercial sense and try and capitalize on it to do too much or to overdo things. And I think that's the media also
Absolutely
wanting
true.
you to focus on overdone faces, over Botoxed, over filled faces, or bad plastic surgery from the days gone past.
Yeah.
We've now become more astute with the way we do things. Things should be subtle, things should be elegant, undetectable, sophisticated. And I think one shouldn't be able to tell that someone has had something done,
Absolutely.
short of just looking fresher, short of looking just, like you've been on a holiday and you've come back and your skin's glowing.
Right.
And in that, it radiates your health. Good, beautiful faces radiate beautiful health on the inside. And it's a good sign of what else is happening on you. If you look well, you're probably in a good place in life mentally and physically. And I think that radiates to our interpersonal relationships we have with people, with our families, and with workers around us. So our life changes. Beauty does change our life for the better.
That is so, that is such a statement, because of course, would you say that, as you said, the radiation of a beautiful person when they a glowing skin or whatever, the persona, would that then give them a sort of a head start? Do beautiful people have more of a head start to succeed in life then, do you think?
Look, they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
So it's how you perceive it is what's important. And I think we have to look at it in the context of how beauty works commercially around the world for us. So it's undoubted that I think some beautiful people get away with some very, very serious crimes, but you know, we're known that beautiful people get lesser jail terms. Beautiful people have better relationships at work, get promotions at work. Beautiful people seem to somehow escalate in the class and not be bullied. So these things start at a young age, and I think they transcend to when we're older.
Right, right, okay. Dr. Shepana, tell us about, you know, because I will also talk about East and West and beauty around the world as well. How much of East and West does meet? Or is it the, you know, the famous words that never the twain shall meet? The beauty concept, what do you think?
He's from Australia. He's practicing there, the aesthetics and everything. We are practicing here in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So he might be facing some other challenges, and we are facing some people, and we have to do the educational training of our patients. That, okay, so what is the challenge that we are facing right now, and what is the difference between our practice and their practice? It's quite important to mention.
Yeah.
Shabnam, even in this era, we have to tell the difference between the filler and the Botox. That's quite important.
Right.
Education of a patient is very important, because they come to us and they say, okay, do the Botox for our lips.
Yeah.
They do not know what is the mechanism of action of that certain injection. So, you know, from education, from setting their budgets, from setting their expectations, we have to be very, very sensible and smart enough. Because in Pakistan, to be very honest, the ladies are working in the spa, the salons, behind the red curtains, and they are doing the filler and Botox without knowing the anatomy of the skin, without having the background knowledge.
That's a recipe for disaster, eh?
That is a recipe for disaster, and this is what is happening in the town and in the country as well. So, you know, through these channels, through these educational programs, this is very crucial for us to train each and every mind that, look, if you want to get yourself injected because of the bad experiences, even the few of the doctors are giving the bad results to the patients. So this is quite challenging for me when I sit on my table and I talk to the patient to convince them that, look, this is your indication. You can't be treated, for example, if they come to me for the treatment of tear trough and they're expecting that as a dermatologist, some cream is going to do the miracle. I tell them no, because there is, you know, there's a fat loss.
Yeah.
You cannot replace that fat loss. You cannot replace the fat compartment with the help of creams. A certain indication, you have to plan that accordingly. So education of a patient is very important, whether it's East, whether it's West.
Right.
But for us, it's honestly right now even a challenge.
Right.
Because we have to set the budgets, and the Pakistan definitely, I used to say it was want. People come to us that, okay, we want this, but I see now where my practice is growing, and I can see the number of the patients they're coming for fixing up their faces. And I think it's more of a need, not a want.
Right.
You know, you go to the general physicians and, okay, main bimar hu, and you know, you fix everything with the medicines. But now they come to us, like happy patients always come to you to make them more glowing, make them skin better, give them a lot of injectables, etc. So this is, I think, a common practice which has been done everywhere in the world.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's very important, you know, what you just stated there as well. Dr. Shah, you know, what are your roles as a cosmetic surgeon, and, you know, how do things present themselves, and how do you go about the work you do?
So I think the important thing is first to have an aesthetic eye for detail.
Okay.
And that comes from your exposure to life. A good travel allows you to see things. For me, of course, you have to be well trained. You have to have the basics training of a good medical doctor from anywhere around the world, and from a good reputable institution. I think you should be credible in what you do. You should be a leader in academia. You should to be a leader in research, and research must start with yourself, following your results, following your patients thoroughly, and being objective about it. So you can go back and reflect on the results and how things have changed for that person. I think in this industry today, you have to be a really fantastic listener and be a good compassionate with people's feelings. Because the cosmetic industry that we've now started to grow into, it is a new industry relatively, but it is going to be the most popular industry for people to get into as a subspecialty. So the field of cosmetics is about relationships building as well. So
Very
you
important.
have to have a good relationship with the people you work around.
Right.
You have to have a good relationship with the industry in which you work. Without pharmaceutical companies, laser machine companies, hospitals, marketing people, media, you need to have maintained those good relationships on that front as well. But I think what's to be said for what I do is I effectively, I don't create people, God does that. We basically assist them in keeping themselves looking the way they want, making themselves feel happy about themselves. There's no such thing as perfection, so I say that as an outset, but there is something as trying to achieve that, and patient satisfaction and doctor satisfaction meets halfway, and it's usually where patients have to lower their expectations and doctors have to up their expectations to what they can deliver. And that
Right.
halfway, when we meet that,
Yeah.
it's called
True.
satisfactory results.
That is a fantastic way of putting it, actually, because you must be
Yeah.
faced with a lot of unreal expectations
And
as well.
I think we should add in a point of
Absolutely.
patience.
Yeah.
Patience is very important
Yeah,
enough.
patience is a virtue because you do these things
Yes.
and patients want results. The younger patients want results yesterday. They see something and it's an instant life. Doctor, I want this because I've got an event tomorrow. I'm getting married tomorrow.
Okay.
You know, it takes years for the skin
Yeah.
to reach
This
where
is
it
quite
is.
a challenge for us.
Absolutely.
Even after doing the procedures, of course, you're getting the invasive procedure,
Yeah.
or maybe non-invasive, whatever. Like if we are involving the needles in the skin, we are putting the products. It swells up in 7 days, and then it becomes normal in 2 week time.
Yeah.
But the next day, if we are not giving plenty of education to the patient about the downtimes, they come to us, okay, dissolve the product, remove everything,
Oh.
because they are getting the knowledge from Google and they know
Oh,
each and
right.
everything.
Right.
That how does it work and how
I
it can be helped out.
often say when I teach, one of the best skills you can have is to hold hands.
Yeah.
Because the comfort to know that it's going
This
to
is
be
the
okay
secret
comes with
recipe of his
experience.
practice.
Yeah,
so
that's
I have some very
amazing.
interesting patients, and you know, some of the patients don't necessarily have very difficult work, but they have a difficult psyche setup or their expectations on themselves from the world or
Right.
perceived expectations. They could be in media, they could be sports stars. That expectation management is a skill that comes with time, it comes with experience. Just to say it will be fine, it takes a lot for a doctor because we live in a very litigious world in the West and
Right.
cosmetics is at the forefront of that.
Right.
So patients are always ready and willing to threaten you. Fortunately, touch wood, I haven't had that experience,
Right.
but it does go in the back of our minds.
Of course.
As doctors, we must be doctors. We must go back to the science. We must understand there are things we do that are controlled inflammation, which are good for the body.
Right.
And how we manage that with medications, with the care, with the technique is important. Because I think people are starting to ask you how much is a product. What they're forgetting is it's the technique that matters most.
And how it's administered.
How
and
it's
how
administered.
It's used.
When we
Okay.
go to buy art, we don't just buy paint and a canvas and a
Right,
frame. We
right.
buy the artist's vision and his ability to communicate that to the world in how he layers the paint, how he creates a three-dimensional feel from a two-dimensional structure. And I think doing faces, it takes that to the next level, and that's what interests me. In my everyday work, I see a dynamic work of art.
That's true. And it's a huge responsibility because,
Well-
I mean, you know, your face is
It's a brand.
Exactly.
And it's your business card.
Yeah.
And it's what the world recognizes you as. And we have to maintain the brand.
True.
And for some people, I think it's really important not to overdo things because we recognize people by some of those deficiencies. You know, when I grew up, I remembered Cindy Crawford with a little mole. And her best shots are the ones with a mole in the middle of the face.
And it looks good.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
In fact, women draw that mole to emulate what she had.
Yeah.
Certain people who recognise, like Giselle Bouchardon, the most highest paid model in the world currently, supermodel in Victoria's Secret's catwalk material. You know, she has a little bump on her nose. They could easily airbrush it, they could easily surgery, but it's a commercial value, it's a branding, and they accentuate it, and they
Imagine.
recognise that beauty
Right.
in its ups and downs. And I think asymmetry should be something that we should cherish. I mean, we wear suits with asymmetrical thing, we have our hair is asymmetrical, but then when it comes to the face, we should appreciate and acknowledge asymmetry, because I think that's important. The head or the face is actually, at time of birth, two halves coming together. So they're sisters, not twins. And we
Right.
want it to be perfect, but what we forget is the reality is it's actually meant to be like that.
The imperfection
You
is
have
where the
a-
beauty lies.
Yeah, we have a beautiful right side and we have a
Yeah.
beautiful left side.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not,
Otherwise, we'd look like robots if we
Yeah,
were
that's
that,
right.
if we were that perfect.
as I say, it feels like we've bought someone's face from IKEA. Where they've built something, a cookie cutter technique.
True.
Yeah,
You must get people getting really sort of conscious when they come to see you the first time, because they're thinking, okay,
what's he thinking of, right?
Yeah.
So I tell them this is my recipe, and I say, look, I'm on your team. I'm here working with you. What we discuss here is only me trying to create something that makes you happy.
Right.
I always give examples for people. One of the examples I give is when I see patients, I give them ample time. For me, there's no thing like a 45-minute consult or an hour consult. It's an open consult,
Right.
because I don't know what they want to talk about. I have no
Exactly.
idea what they will be.
Okay.
But I usually have some understanding prior as to what their wishes are. My personal assistants get some pictures. We do our
Okay.
research.
Okay, so all right, that's very intelligent.
So we do. You understand the patient before they step through the door. At least in my practice, that's unique.
Okay.
The other thing I do is I akin or I translate what a face is to an architectural form. So I break it down into something objective. I ask patients, all right, so you want to build a house. Let's talk about the walls. Let's talk about the house's details. And then we go into the detail, the
Okay.
carpets, the handles, the curtains, the taps, the beautiful furniture, sofa. Because just building the walls
Right.
doesn't make you a beautiful house. It gives you the shelter. But what makes it beautiful is those different textural substances you can touch, feel, and the things you remember. But before we have those, we do need the walls, we do need good foundations, we need the good strong concrete, and of course a waterproof roof helps. But women love to jump to the carpets and the silk curtains and the cushions
Before everything.
and all the lovely
And you're
bells
like,
whistles.
hang on a minute, we just have to wait for the
Yeah,
foundation and everything else.
That's right.
and the structure
So
bit.
sometimes we have to stage our procedures, and I think in that sense, it's any good surgeon, any good architect will tell you, build the foundation solid. That's what's going to make the stuff last.
I agree
Yeah.
with
And
that.
then
true.
you can play around with colours and textures and
True.
silks and cottons depending on the weather and season.
Absolutely.
But what is timeless is the overall foundation.
So, you've got a lot of high-profile celebrity clientele and everything, and, you're not a person to be in the public eye, and you don't have a web presence as well. So is that one of the secrets to your success, I think?
Look, it's an interesting, people say that because the way the world's moving in this particular field, we're all very Instagram famous, we're all very Facebook famous. And as I mentioned earlier, marketing is at the core of this industry. With the cosmetic industry, at every meeting, there is a whole section on marketing yourself.
Right.
And companies are taking advantage of doctors and their vulnerabilities
Right.
and saying, we can make you better. And out of that grows cowboys who claim results,
Right.
which are often photoshopped or which are often not
Right.
the truth.
Right.
With small disclaimers on the bottom. In
Okay.
print, you would never be able to read.
Okay.
So I think having anonymity is one of the biggest luxuries in life. And I think I enjoy that certainly.
Yeah.
But I have a strictly word of mouth practice. When I started, that was one of the wishes I had.
Right,
Things may
fantastic.
change down the track, but for now, I've got a very good following and,
And that is a great success in itself, that you don't need to market yourself in any other way, isn't it? Because, and another word that you mentioned just now, vulnerabilities. I would say that, let's talk about social media. Now we have, very young girls as well on social media and everything, and you sort of see the same angle on every picture. And so many, if you look through Instagram or Facebook, whatever, my young daughters, when they use it, I'm just sort of, I look at them and I say, everybody looks the same. What's going on?
You make a very good point. One of the talks I'm giving in Islamabad, my first slide is a big black and white slide with the word vulnerable at
Yeah.
the back. Because I think at the core of what we do is we see vulnerability as a weakness. I see it as a strength to be able to
Okay.
put yourself out there and know that you're exposing yourself emotionally,
Right.
physically, when the results are not guaranteed. And that is vulnerability. It's like someone who has to restart a life after perhaps a separation or a divorce. We have that in West a lot.
Yeah.
And they have to then represent themselves to the world. And that is a vulnerable person. But for them to do that is stepping outside of their comfort zones. And I think that's what makes them strong, and we should embrace that very much so. So it's not just vulnerability for the patient, vulnerability for the doctor, because we have to deliver something that we don't know will work or not work, hopefully.
Okay,
Hopefully it will
exactly.
work 90% of the time.
Yeah.
But there's so many factors outside of our hands, the patient's health, the the patient's other illnesses.
Yeah.
You know, the patient goes home and massages things you've asked them not to do. They think that they should do it because they've read it on Google. So
Right.
I think
Oh, God,
vulnerability
Google.
can be reduced with good technique, reducing the risk by using good products, having good registered authorities, governing what we do. And that's how we reduce the vulnerability and risk in our patients and ourselves in our practices. We don't want to be vulnerable to medical legal litigation.
Absolutely.
And a good
Of course.
reputation is at the core of everything we do.
Yeah.
You're known for your work.
Yeah.
I
And
think
that's
anywhere-
true, absolutely. It is your word of mouth. I think that is the biggest
Yeah.
That's the biggest
marketing tool
marketing.
because
Absolutely.
Anybody can have, true. It
absolutely.
can bring in pull more patients.
Yeah, exactly.
You make a happy patient, they will bring their friends.
Of course.
They may not
because-
immediately go and advertise it because it's such
Yeah.
a taboo thing,
Yeah.
but they'll bring their closest friend and their closest
But
friend. will
sometimes they'll
ask
just
them,
bubble over with excitement, even if they weren't going to tell anybody. And it's like, God, you know, look.
I call this procedure as a dating. Everybody date, nobody tells you. So everybody do Botox and fillers, they don't tell you.
Right, okay. So then what is the difference between Botox and fillers then? If we, you know, you said that these are different things and injectables, as you
That's a very
mentioned.
important question.
You know, so
Yeah.
everyone sort of thinks that any injection is somebody
Well-
having Botox. So what's really going on?
So they're two very different things. Simply merely because they come out of the tip of a needle, which doesn't make them everything. Now, I knew that many years ago, but everyone thinks everything that comes out of a needle is Botox. And the truth is, Botox is like a needle, and as I said earlier, threads, and the filler is like a thread. They both work in combination with each other.
Okay.
A needle is useless without a thread, and a thread is useless without the needle.
Absolutely.
So for me, Botox and fillers work in different ways, but in combination and harmony. Botox is effectively a muscle relaxant. It doesn't fill the face at all. It can shrink the face a little
okay.
bit by relaxing the muscles that are no longer used, and thereby if you shrink a muscle, if you relax a muscle, it becomes atrophic, as we say.
Is it relaxing the muscle to give away the look of wrinkles? What is the purpose of Botox?
Botox originally, when it was discovered, in an interesting way, it was used outside of cosmetics, like many things we have outside of cosmetics. So
Okay.
Botox was originally discovered in ophthalmology by Carruthers in Canada.
Right.
And it was an ophthalmology and a dermatology team, husband and wife team, who used Botox in patients for eyes, for ophthalmology purposes. When they went back and followed the results, they noticed that apparently the wrinkles were gone on their faces as well. It was an observant doctor, as a good doctor should be, a very good observer, that noticed we're finding all these other results with beautiful eyes. So a dermatology and ophthalmology husband and wife discovered
Imagine.
Botox.
Okay.
And from that stemmed our ability to use Botox in other areas. And today we use it in children for strictures. We use them in
Paralysis.
we use it for paralysis. Botox got extension. Now there's science done to say that it assists with depression. It assists with skin
It
texture.
assists with depression
Yeah.
as well.
Migraines, for
For
depression,
migraines,
psychological.
Okay.
It assists in skin texture and tone. So Botox has gone beyond it. We're using Botox in the studies done in atrial fibrillation after cardiac surgery to avoid
That's
the
interesting.
funny heart
that's
rhythm.
something,
So
yeah.
there's a lot of extension of its use. But I think what it requires is good observation, good academia, an inquisitive mind to question and then follow things up. And never fear. I mean, we discovered penicillin, our single most biggest discovery in medicine and science, through questioning. And the person who discovered it tried them on themselves. And so I think so much comes out of being able to go outside the specialty in which you are and learn from other people. So your question earlier about Botox and fillers.
Yeah.
Fillers are used to expand tissues, to fill defects, because as we age, we lose about a teaspoon per annum of volume across the face. We've learnt this from our friends and colleagues in forensic science who studied the models of skeletons. So as we age, say from the age of 25 onwards, we're losing about a teaspoon every year of volume across our face. And that could be in bone, in soft
Okay.
tissue fat,
Note
and
after
muscle.
25. That's
After
It starts
important.
very early.
25.
So that's very early.
I mean, many people in their 20s would just think of themselves as not
Yeah.
needing, skincare and that.
That's
In
right.
fact, one of our viewers sent in a question and said, when should we start worrying about age creams
Yeah.
and aging creams
Yeah.
and things like that? So when should that happen?
I think it starts we worry whether whatever answer I give is irrelevant,
Yeah.
because we worry because of other things like what's media trying to tell us, what magazines are trying to show us, what works well for us. It's like asking, when do we start worrying about when we should change our wardrobe? It happens as we grow. Aging is an ongoing thing. We're aging all the time as we sit here. So we have to differentiate between aging people and those that want enhancements.
Okay.
So people who want physical changes, young girls who want breast augmentation, it's not going to change. The age is not going to make a difference. You either need it or you don't. No surgery is one of those. You either have it or you don't. But I think aging itself as a concept is something that changes with time, because our tissues descend and our fat atrophies, and the ligaments in our face, the very fine ligaments called the true and false ligaments of the face, start to elongate. And what we do is we go back in there and replenish those tensions across tissues. And I akin this to, or I relate this to a fabric or a beautiful dressmaker, Coco Chanel, who drapes the skin across the face like a glove to a hand and makes it fit like it was meant to be. And I think the key there is that in Pakistan, women love dresses, and we have saris and langas and clothes, is the fabric we choose has a certain thread. It has a bias on which it must fall. And so if you make it the other way, it's not going to look right. It's not going to hug your body. It's not going to allow movement. So the face's skin is no different.
Right.
We have to stretch it in certain ways, tuck it back behind certain areas, so that what we're seeing is a natural, beautiful, elegant draping of the skin. So fillers...
That's very poetic, actually.
Well,
The whole description
cosmetic
there.
is poetic. Cosmetic is poetic. You'll find a lot of good cosmetic surgeons have interests outside of science and medicine.
Yeah.
They love art. They love the art
Because
of
it
traveling.
is, you are creating art, aren't you?
And they love music.
Yeah.
You should have a good environment when we have music on when
Yeah.
we do treatments in our theatres, because it releases those beautiful hormones around you. So yeah, so I mean, fillers help us expand tissues, replenish collagen, the lost collagen, which we all hear about in beauty products and creams, the eternal fountain of youth. And fillers, and so Botox is a muscle relaxant, to answer the early question, and it relaxes muscles.
Right.
The deeper layer, constant repeated use of muscle, is what gives us lathering.
Right.
And so the wrinkles we have are just the surface area signs of where perhaps movement is. At this point, I'll just say, people who go trying to relax too much have a very artificial look, because we need some beautiful lines.
Yeah.
We need to
I like
preserve
that's
those.
really, that's so important.
Yeah.
He's making such an important point.
Because we need to show the journey of our life and
Yeah.
how much we've smiled through it.
Exactly.
Because if we don't have those wrinkles, we will look like a boring,
like you
maimed
said,
person.
everyone's out of IKEA, robotic or whatever.
If you look
know?
at the most celebrated men in media today, George Clooney, Brad Pitt, David Beckham,
Yeah.
handsome men, they retain wrinkles on the front of Esquire magazine's front. They retain those wrinkles purposefully,
Yeah.
which shows masculinity.
True.
Reducing that turns them into a feminine subject. But they do refreshment in other areas, under the eyes.
Right.
They replace things in other key areas, but they're known for those masculine, rugged looks.
That's true. That's absolutely true. We'll get back to, we're going to talk about men as
Men.
well, because that's really important, because we're ignoring them. That's not good at all, because that's also a huge now emerging, part of the beauty industry. Dr. Shabana, tell us about whitening, the whitening sort of obsession that we see, the whitening creams, the tablets, the whatnot, the whatever, what
But in
tell us
Japan,
about
it's
that.
a big thing. The geisha girls are white, right?
So you were discussing about first thing that I will discuss about the whitening and the dilemma that have been created in the media,
The cultural
the TV shows, and
also.
the culture as well.
Yeah.
It's a pressure on the girl in Pakistan when she's actually getting married, that she should look tall, long hair, fair skin, okay, but the creams that have been used in the market, which is available on the counter, has got plenty amount of steroids in it. It was tested in the laboratories that any fairness cream which is giving you results in week or 2 days time is full of mercury, steroids, and those steroids are a very potent topical steroids. Keep in mind, they are coming with the different names, and what girls are usually doing, they are blending all these formulas together, making them, preparating them at home, and they are putting them on the face. So what happens? When you are putting a lot of steroids, there is a vasoconstriction. In reaction to that vasoconstriction, you will have the acneiform eruption on the skin. You can see a lot of telangiectasias. They'll build an atrophy of the skin as well. So you have to be very, very particular what you are doing with your skin. I trust on brightening, not on the whitening. So I try to convince the patient.
That's a very important point.
That is an important. That you should take care of the skin. Your skin should be free of hair.
You should have a glow.
Yeah,
of course.
You should have a glow.
But a complete change in
change in complexion.
Yeah.
That is in your genetics.
So
why you
that's
want
who
to give
you
a
are,
challenge?
actually, isn't it?
I mean, they are getting obsessed to the whitening. Why? Because injection glutathiones are actually working. So they are actually working. But the worst thing about the glutathiones is, once you are going to stop the injections, for example, if you are getting the results in 6 to 12 injections, and you are going to stop those injections, you are not going to have the effect anymore. It's not going to last for more than 2 months. So that's quite important. Why the hell you are wasting a lot of money on glutathiones?
And then in 2 months then?
You're getting back to your own complexion, the one you were having.
Right.
So you can't play with the genes.
Yeah, that's sort of more of a psychological mindset that you have to deal with, isn't it?
Very important thing, the glutathiones which are available in Pakistan, in India, in Asia, they are very, very high dose. Initially, when it was introduced in the market, there were just 5,000 mg. Now, there are almost 50,000 to 80,000 mg that they are injecting through IV and through the drips, infusions. So that is quite risky for them. Why they're overloading themselves with the glutas.
Let's talk about the different creams that are available, in the market as well. Many of them have been hugely popular for decades now. Tell us about the side effects there.
Yeah. Shabnam, thank you for these TV and media shows that you're giving a lot of awareness to the patients and to the common man who do not know about the ingredients of those fairness cream, which are actually disaster in the market.
Imagine.
So the thing is that there were few creams that we have picked from the counter and we tested in the laboratories, and you won't believe that there were a lot of potent topical steroids that women were applying on the face.
Imagine.
Even if we are giving it to the eczema patient, we have to think twice that this potency will not harm or won't be absorbed in their blood to give them the maximum absorption dose to give the side effect of the steroids. So these creams were having the potent steroids, number one. Number two, they have plenty amount of mercury that can lead to the BCC, the basal cell carcinomas or squamous cell carcinomas. So they are quite risky. So what happens when they are applying the creams on the face? When we sit in the OPDs, we usually see those patients who are denying that we are applying the creams. But you can obviously see there's a monomorphic acne on the face.
Right.
And you can see a lot of telangiectasias on the face. The skin is thinning out, atrophy of the skin.
And for some families, this is a sort of a household item that everybody's using, and it's been going on for ages
the
and
mother
ages.
is feeding their young daughter's mind that she should be fair enough, white complexioned and good-looking girl. There are so many women who bring their young kids, like almost 9 to 10 years of age, and they say, "Okay, doctor, we want to inject them with the glutathiones." You have to educate them. You have to tell them that, look, they can be much beautiful, they can look much attractive if they know how to play with their complexions.
Exactly. As was said before, it's the glow, not the whiteness, but the brightness.
Yeah.
I think that is the main...
that
not the white, because you can't change your skin. I mean, you can, obviously.
You cannot play with the genetics.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not possible.
It's something that needs to be embraced. So this is really important, what the doctors are saying here today, is to, beauty, aesthetics, fine, it's great. We all have a haircut, we change our wardrobes. These are things we do. But to, obsessively do something to change the actual material that you are. I mean, that's something that will give you, it will have side effects. And as Dr. Shahban is saying, those fairness creams that have been going on for generations, please get rid of them. They're not good for you. So Dr. Shahid, tell us about, we were speaking about the fillers as well, and a very interesting analogy you were giving us about
The way I look
balloons.
at a balloon.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
So look, I try and tell patients examples because it's such a novice concept for some people, and they're apprehensive about what these things are. They're scared, and rightly they are, because my own sisters, they've never been injected by me ever, and so it's not for everyone to start with. But for those that it's suitable for, and there's an indication for, we talk to them in terms that they can understand and relate to much more easily. So I give this analogy: when you have balloons for a kid's birthday.
Yeah.
It has maximum air in it on the day of the birthday. It looks shiny and beautiful.
Yeah.
It holds its shape the way you want it to.
Yeah.
But as days go past after the birthday, it looks a little dull.
And it's shriveled up and lying in the corner
Yeah,
somewhere.
but most of the air is still inside.
Yeah.
It's just 5% of the air that has absorbed
Exited
from outside.
it, yeah.
And so it's only that subtle amount that reduces the tension across the balloon, and thereby the light that we expect it to have, the bounce or the light glow, is reduced. Now, when I look at faces, I look at the way the light falls across the faces, because there's those subtleties in the shadows that we pick up under the eyes, in our nasolabial folds, which women complain about a lot, the little
Okay.
lines across here,
Right.
the marionette lines, the jowl induences, the teardrop dark circles, and the furrows. Whilst people are trying to chase removing wrinkles, what we see is these shadows in the three-dimensional structure of the face. If we can fill those areas, the light bounces better, it has more harmony, and the face looks radiant. So we don't have to use these creams that are toxic. We don't have to use these creams that are unregulated.
Yeah.
And we can sculpt faces with more natural, regulated products that have been approved by governments and medical authorities. And I
Right.
think they've been under trials, and studies have been done on these products over years before they're approved for public use. I think public safety is at the paramount core of these. As the
course.
industry grows, we need to regulate it to some extent.
Absolutely.
More important than the product, safety by technique. There are nerves, there are vessels, there are risks to these procedures. Good technique, good training, good education, good sharing of your results, poor and good, will make you learn. I think what we should do is be able to share our poor results, but that takes a lot of courage in an industry that's competitive. And I think
Highly competitive,
and I think it's
yeah.
and that responsibility lies at our leaders who've been in the industry for a long time, who've seen these things, how it works, how it doesn't work. And it's only when those leaders come forth and lead the industry that they can share with us the 20-year results or the 10-year results of certain products. Because what you think is going to happen as a novice person is not always the way it results in 3-4 years as the body changes, as the body metabolizes the products, and as our lifestyles change. So, and you're absolutely right, sometimes we put patients at risk by exposing them to precursors for cancers that we didn't know now, but we may know in 5 years' time.
Right.
So it's up to our leaders to lead from the forefront by sharing their poor work as well as good work.
That is very important, right? What, now let's talk about, is there a sort of a concept of a difficult face or a more challenging face? Is that also something that...
To me, every face is a challenge. And if you love a challenge, you should be in the industry. It should never be a chore to do anyone's face. A difficult face is one where there's no room for error. And usually someone who's very small, thin, young, or a difficult face is someone who doesn't give you space to do things because of an expectation or an event that they are refreshing for. Often you find people in media who are under constant attention. The cameras are always on them. The paparazzi is always chasing a certain look or a change. Even if they haven't had anything done, they will Photoshop it and put it in the media. So a difficult face is one in which the expectations have to be met perfectly. There's no room for error. There's no rehearsal time. And it's one where you have to drape the face balanced across from all angles.
Right.
The problem we have is because we have access to these techniques and products, we're doing things in isolation. Someone just wants a lip done, someone just wants a cheek done, just my brows Botox. We should look at the face as an entity. We should treat the face, not the lips or just cheeks. Because if you go to a doctor, you will never say, "Doctor, can you remove just a small portion of my tumor and I'll come back and do the rest later?" I mean, that would be irresponsible. And I think it would be it would be irresponsible. So you should look at the face.
Or just half of my appendix.
Best example.
So I often say, can I just do the right eye, and then maybe when you're ready, we'll do the left eye, if you're happy with that. But of course, you should feel responsible. You should feel like this is something you should own, and you should always give patients the opportunity to express what they want. But you should do the right thing by them and give them your experience, which is a big problem we have in our industry. Doctors become bullied by patients into doing things that are not necessarily indicated.
Oh, right. You know, unfortunately, we have come to the end of our time limit for the programme. It's been wonderful speaking to you both, especially Dr. Shahid, who's come all the way over from Australia, so a special guest on our show as well. And wonderful having you as well, Dr. Shahid Bano. And, you know, it's been amazing. And I've loved the sort of analogies that you've come up with. Yeah.
Very nice.
There are many sort of words of wisdom there that people can take away from?
I feel very much at home. My sister shares the same name and
Yeah,
surname as you.
imagine.
And you know, and she's been an inspiring part of my life. I've grown up with my sister who's a pharmacist, but she's a fantastic dressmaker, and I've learned all about how to create, how to mold, how to create beautiful.
Imagine.
I'm very blessed to have a family that,
That's
that's been
fantastic.
supportive. But having you here
Right.
has made me feel I'm at home.
You have a sister in Pakistan as well now.
You've made me very welcome, and that's the beautiful thing about coming to Pakistan always. I feel at home, and I feel loved, and I hope to be able to come back again and educate the public. And I think,
Yeah,
share
and
our
the public would do,
experiences,
you know, they really need
glad to have
all
you.
those words of wisdom and, you know, sort of a reality check, I would say, you know, from somebody who knows all the ins and outs. So thank you so
and
much.
share the knowledge. Everyone should share.
Absolutely.
East meet West.
True, absolutely. So thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
both of you. Okay, and with that we come to the end of today's show. Things that, you know, discussed that are so important. Yes, all of us, we have a right to look good. You look good, you feel good. And but the thing is to do it responsibly and not put yourself into such, you know, perils, or your health starts to suffer, or you start entering into some sort of an identity crisis. So everything within balance. And we hope you have learnt something from today. I certainly have with these wonderful guests. So see you next week. Stay happy, stay healthy. Bye-bye.